you're starting sitting down, and you're going to sit cross-legged in just a comfortable position. And the first thing we're going to think about is grounding down into your sitting bones. So just rock from side to side and make sure you've got a really good connection between your sitting bones and the floor. So just imagine that they're, yoga speaking, sorry, that they're two roots, just rooting down into the floor. And then grow your spine out of those roots to get long. Gently tuck your chin and take the crown of your head upwards. And let's just start breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. And your tongue is on the roof of your mouth as you breathe. And while you're breathing, I'll just tell you, we will be using a strap and a kettlebell. A really light one, ideally. So the lightest one that you've got to hand. And if at any point when we're using it, you find that it's too heavy, just abandon it and carry on with body weight. But we'll be using it on the floor as a prop at one point, so have one, even if it's too heavy, have it handy so that we can use it as a prop on the floor. So hopefully you've been breathing all that time I was talking. In through your nose, out through your nose. Keeping your spine long. So a lot of what we're focusing on today is going to be about the movement of your spine. So take one more deep breath in and out. And then we're going to come over onto all fours. So your knees are below your hips, hands below your shoulders. Tuck your toes under and then push your hips back onto your knees. Walk your hands one big step forward, so take your head to the floor. So your forehead's touching the floor, the weight is out of your neck. Push your hands into the floor, straighten your arms. And then come back up onto all fours, so you might need to step your hands back in again. So we're back up on all fours, and we're going to make happy cat pose. So you're going to tilt your tailbone up towards the ceiling, so you're dropping your belly down, making a big arch in your spine. Push into the floor. Pull your hands back towards your knees. Like create a dragging feeling of your hands towards your knees. And then push back into child's pose, which is here. So pushing your hips back onto your heels. Then come forwards. Cat pose. So looking forward, push your chest forwards between your shoulders and then back onto your heels. Then come back forwards, cat pose again, really arch your spine and push back onto your heels. And then back to all fours, and then we're going to do the opposite, let's do angry cat. So for this we're tucking our tail between our legs. Push the floor away, take your chin to your chest and arching your spine the opposite way. Really kind of drawing your hips and your lower ribs towards each other. And then push back, keeping that position, push back. So your hips are coming back to your heels again. Push into the floor. Back to all fours. And then squeeze yourself into the angry cat. And then push back to your hips. Come back to all fours. Angry cat again. Really focusing on the movement of your spine. Push back onto your hips. Keeping angry cat here. Good, let's do that one more time. So angry cat, squeeze everything in and up, arch your spine, tuck your chin to your chest, push back. Lovely, okay. Come back to the all fours, and then let's just go through happy cat and angry cat because it's nice. So look forwards into happy cat. And then tuck your tailbone under, curl upwards, angry cat. And then happy cats. And then let's just move through this in your own time. So transition between happy and angry cat. And just feel how much your spine needs to move. So you're arching it in opposite directions. And let's try and make that movement come as a wave. So it's starting with your pelvis. So the first thing to happen, if you're transitioning from happy cat here into angry cat, is that your tailbone will tuck. So you're kind of tucking your tail between your legs, and then you're taking that motion up your spine, into your shoulders, between your shoulder blades, into your neck. And then reversing the motion from your tailbone again. So arch your tailbone back to the ceiling, and then bring the arch through slowly up your spine, into your shoulders, so that your head looks upwards now. Good, and then tuck your tailbone under, so it's like a wave motion, up your spine all the way to your neck slowly, starting with your tail, untuck it, point it back to the ceiling, and then take the wave motion through. And just keep moving through that in your own time. Try and breathe out in angry cat. And breathe in for happy cat. Just in line with how much space your lungs have got. Good. Nice wave motion in your spine. Good. Just do one more like that. So tucking your tailbone under, wave it up your spine, all the way to your neck, and then untuck your tailbone, take it up your spine, through your shoulders, look forwards. Good, that was nice, isn't it? Let's go back into child's pose because that's even nicer. So take your hips back to your heels, big step forward with your hands, take your head to the floor. And this time you can put your arms on the floor, so let your elbows drop to the floor. Untuck your toes if you want to, and get nice and close to the floor. So let yourself be really heavy. You can have your legs together, or you can have them slightly apart. Take your forehead to the floor, take all of the weight out of your neck. Good, and it's a shame we can't stay here for the entire half an hour. I'd quite like to as well. Let's come back onto all fours. And we're coming into downward dog. So push your hips up and back. First downward dog of the day, probably for all of us. So it might not feel hugely natural just yet. So starting with your hands, push the weight forwards into the fronts of your palm. So we've got equal spread, so you haven't got all the weight dumping into your wrist. Push the floor away. Let your shoulders slide down your back, so we've got space between shoulders and ears. Take the crown of your head pointed towards the floor. And try and get your head, let's think about this differently. Try and get your arms, your biceps, behind your ears. Lovely. And then it doesn't matter if your legs are straight or not. You can have your legs a little bit bent, and you're still getting a really strong stretch in your hamstrings, even with your knees a bit bent. Well done, hold it here. And then stay exactly where you are, come up onto your toes. So your hips should get a little bit higher, you're kind of pitching yourself forwards a bit, come up onto your toes, and then push your heels back towards the floor. And let's run through that a few times. So up onto your toes, and then push your heels back towards the floor. Up onto your toes. Push your heels back to the floor. One more, up on your toes. Push your heels back to the floor. Good. Adjust your stance if you need to. You might have found a little bit more space in this position now. And then we're going to bend our knees, even more than you were doing before perhaps, and then straighten them all the way. And then bend your knees and straighten them. And then just move through this in your own time while I talk to you. Bending your knees and then straightening them all the way, push your heels towards the floor. So as you straighten your legs, you'll find that your spine naturally, the torso moves forwards, and then as you bend your legs, you can push it back. So you straighten your legs and you move your upper body forwards, that's just what happens. And then when you bend your knees more, your spine comes back and your belly might even land on your thighs. So straight legs and bent legs. Good, I won't keep you too much longer here. Let's come back down into all fours and let the blood level out a little bit. Might have gone up to your head. Okay, we're coming back into downward dog. Just when we've re-established a bit of equilibrium here. So this time when we go back into downward dog, hopefully it'll feel a much more natural position. So tuck your hips up and back. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Okay, we're going to cross one arm across our body. So I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to hold on to somewhere on my right leg. So as far down as I can go. So I'm just going to hold on to my calf and then pull my hand onto my leg. And as I do that, I'm looking under my right shoulder. So I'm pulling into my right leg with my left hand. Look under my right shoulder. Get a nice twist in my back. If you can get your hand down even further, get your hand down further, hold onto your ankle, maybe even your heel. And then take your left hand back to the floor and we'll change sides. So right hand will come across, hold onto somewhere on your left leg, and then give it a pull. And look under your left shoulder. Keep your hips pushing back. You're twisting your spine. Keep breathing, don't stop breathing. No sticky breath. And then take your hands to the floor. Fab, good. Let's walk our feet towards our hands, sorry. So we're coming into a standing forward fold. So let me come back into the middle. Okay. So we're in a standing forward fold position. I'm going to have my feet about hip distance apart. This. And I'm adjusting backwards and forwards between my heels and my toes until I find a nice equal position between the two. So it doesn't matter if your hands are not on the floor, your hands can be wherever. You can hold onto your shins, you can take your fingertips to the floor, whatever feels good. Come here so you can see what I'm going to do next. So I'd like you to take your feet into the position that they would be if you were about to do a swing or a deadlift. So mine are going to come a little bit wider. I'm turning my toes out ever so slightly. So I'll come here so you can see what the rest of my back's doing. And then we're going to transition between a swing stance to a forward fold. So here's your swing stance. You've got your knees over your ankles, you're pushing your hips back, and you've got your chest high. So what it should look like, if you've got a mirror anywhere, is your hips are above your knees, and then your shoulders are above your hips. So it's a nice, like a zigzag kind of shape. So you don't need to take your hands out in front of you, take them just between your legs and point your fingers to the floor. And then from there, we're going to, this will be fun, we're going to straighten out, take your hands towards the floor. Coming into a hamstring stretch. This is where a bell might actually come in handy. So I will talk for a little bit so that you've got time to run and grab a bell, or just grab it from next to you. Have it in between your feet. And then let's push into that bell. And having that bell, that's something off the floor to push into, can you see how much more comfortable it looks on my lower back than if I have my hands on the floor? It doesn't look as nice and comfortable as if I've got something really to push into, and that pushing very strongly into the bell. I'm holding the bell really hard, I'm pushing it into the floor as if I'm trying to drive it into the floor, and that's really helping me straighten out my hamstrings and keep my lower back relatively neutral. So let's come back into as if we're doing a swing or a deadlift, then push into the floor. So we'll use the bell to hold on to for the whole of this. So let's go through it in our own time. So bending your knees, just lightly touch your fingers to the bell. You don't need to hold on to it here, just touch your fingers to the bell so you've got a bit of input there to tell you where to go. You're in your kettlebell deadlift or swing position, and then hold on to the bell, push it down into the floor to come into that hamstring stretch. Lower back straightening. So just moving through this a few times. This kind of feels like training, doesn't it? Sorry. Promise you it's not. Well, it kind of is. Hold on to the bell, straighten your legs out, pushing it into the floor. So it's a little bit like happy cat, angry cat. So here we are in angry cat. in that forward fold. And then when you come up into your swing stance, here is happy cat. So it should feel really similar. We're doing the same thing with our spine. So here we go, happy cat. Putting your tailbone behind you. And then coming into that forward fold, kind of tucking our tailbone under. It's like our tailbone's got a bit of an anchor on it and it's pulling down towards the floor. And we're squeezing our lower ribs and hips towards each other. Push the belly to the floor. So when I'm asking you to push the floor away and separate your shoulders in angry cat, this is what I mean. So push the belly away, separate your shoulders. Good, let's do this one more time. So swing position. And then forward fold. It's quite intense in your back, so if you need to stop at any point, you can. This was our last time though. So let's come back all the way down onto the mat. Discard your bell. Lie down. Take your heels close to your hips. And then squeeze your bum. Lift your hips up. So we've done this at the end of our session so far. I'm going to do it here because it's a really nice antidote to what we've just been doing in all that forward folding. So squeeze your knees as if you've got a cushion between them and you're trying to squish it, but you can't get your knees together because the cushion's there, but you're trying as hard as you can. So you're equally pushing your knees together and resisting them actually getting together. Squeeze your bum. Lift your hips higher. Good, and then come down. Lovely. Okay, roll back up. Let's stand up, shall we? Do some standing work. So standing in the middle of your mat, have your feet either together or just slightly apart. And then take your hands above your head, hook your shoulders as if you're making like a shadow butterfly. So you've got your thumbs hooked. Push them nice and high, really, really firm your legs, strong legs. And then we're going to bend from side to side. So take it to one side, and then come back up, straight into the other side, so side bends. So the hand that's on the bottom, so this one, for example, is going to be pulling on the hand that's on the top. And then when you change sides, it's the opposite hand that pulls. So the side bend is initiated by this bottom hand. So you're really pulling yourself in. And you're trying to keep your biceps behind your ears the whole time. And then just transitioning between the two movements in your own pace. So this is as hard as you make it. The longer you hold the position, the harder it is. And the more you pull yourself into the position, the harder it is. That's enough of that. Good. Shake out. And then we're going to twist. So I'd like you to try and make a T shape with your body. So take your left arm in front and your right arm behind you. Look behind your right shoulder. So from this side, I look like this. So I'm taking it straight behind me, looking over my shoulder. So you really have to give your core a little bit of a squeeze here. You don't need to leave your hips behind, so I'm taking my pelvis with me because it's attached to my spine, it's part of my spine. I'm going to root my feet down, but let my pelvis come with me in that twist. So pelvis, spine, shoulders are all following me in that twist. And then let's do the other side. So pelvis, spine, and shoulders are all following me. Keep my legs grounded, straight, push down into the floor, through my feet. Looking over your back shoulder. Swap sides again. So move through this in your own time now, so you can swap sides whenever you feel like you've done enough in one position. Let's take it to the other side. And move your pelvis at the same time. If you need to get a little bit of bend in your knees as you do this, you're welcome to. It's fine. See how much you can do with your legs relatively straight. Come back to the middle. Shake everything out. And then let's do a really, really light windmill. This definitely counts as yoga.
clean and pressure really light bell. You can just do with body weight, that's fine. So if the only bell you've got is too heavy for this to just feel really easy, don't use it, just use your body weight. So I want that bell to just be a little bit of an input to help you gently open this top shoulder. So if it starts feeling like we're doing this with strength, you can just do body weight. So sliding your hand down your leg, push your hips back. So you might find that you don't want to go down too far, because we're just using this for a stretch. So this is an 8 kilo bell that I've got over my head, which is relatively light for me to do a windmill with, and ordinarily I'd go down all the way, but I'm just exploring my range of motion for today. So I'm not going to go down too far this first time. And then let's just pulse it up and down. So come out of it and then go back into it, just in your own time. And what we're trying to do is see that each subsequent time we come down into the pose, we might get a little bit further down. That's the idea. So push a little bit further down. And this is our last time. And we'll change sides. So you might just also do that body weight. So you're turning your feet opposite way to whichever hand is overhead. And then coming down, just body weight. Same applies if you're doing body weight. Just explore the movement. So that first time you come down is just kind of an introduction, and then we'll come back up. And then each time you come down, try and find a little bit more depth in the position. We'll do it about 5 times on each side. Okay, let's go for 2 more. Or 1 more if you're doing them a bit slower. Good. Okay, let's leave that there. Well done. Discard your bell. Actually, no, let's keep it. Let's keep it. So bell stays in between your feet. And then take your feet wide. So if you weren't using the bell, have your bell ready. We're going to use it as an anchor on the floor. So you've got your feet wide, your toes pointing towards you. Push your hips back, hold on to your bell. So same rules apply here. We're pushing into the floor, pushing our bell into the floor. And then let's take our left arm straight up. So push the bell into the floor, take your left arm up. Then change sides. Right arm up. And let's move through this at your own pace. So pushing your hand into the bell, and your bell into the floor, lifting the opposite arm. And then changing sides when you've had enough of that side. So we're not holding anything for long here, we're moving quite fluidly through these movements. So try and breathe in when you come down and breathe out when you twist up. And then again, hopefully you'll find that you're getting a little bit more range of motion each time you repeat the movement. Good. Let's stop that there. Hold onto your bell, push it into the floor. And just let your back settle into that nice straight position now. And then we're going to come down to the floor. You get to lie down. Let's see. So to lie on the floor, we're going to use your bell for what we're doing now. So I need you to lie on the floor to get where you can see me. Lying on the floor. And you'll have your bell. Hold it as if you are going to do a halo. And have your legs out straight. Take your bell overhead. Push your shoulders down to the floor, so the weight of the bell will help you with that. So just let the weight of the bell pull your shoulders down towards the floor, and then one by one kind of tuck them underneath you. And then keeping your legs really firm and your arms straight, I want you to very slowly take that bell over your head towards the floor. Now the further it gets towards the floor, the more you have to fight to keep your ribs down. Let the bell touch the floor. Control it really slowly. So your arms are straight over your head now. And then bring it back up, nice and slowly. So your aim here is to keep your shoulders down, keep your legs firm, keep your spine pushing towards the floor, and control how open your shoulders are. So really, really slowly, let the bell come towards the floor, and then let the bell land when it's there. And then, just as gently as it hopefully landed, bring it back off the floor. Yeah, it doesn't feel like yoga, does it? Sorry. Let's do it one more time. So really slowly, pushing your shoulders down and back the whole time. Keep your ribs down. Let the bell land. If you are not doing this with a bell, I'll put a note on the video for this as well. If you're not doing it with a bell, you can do it with anything light, like a heavy book would do as well. And then let's stop that, so bring the bell back down. So anything heavy that you can hold in your hand and take overhead. Good, so let's stay on the floor and hold on to your strap or belt or whatever you manage to find. A big enough towel would do. And then we're going to put your strap over one foot and try and put it, well, don't try and put it, actually put it on the ball of your foot. So not the middle of your foot, not the squishy arch bit. You want it on the ball of your foot so you've got something to push into. So we will straighten that leg out. Hold the strap with your opposite hand. So I've got the strap on my right leg and I'm holding it with my left hand. Left leg out straight. Pull your left shoulder back down towards the floor. And then you're going to let your right foot come over onto the left hand side of your body. So you take your hips with you, so you'll be rolling over onto your left hip. And then try and keep your right foot as high as you can. So try not to let your right foot scissor down towards your left. Try and keep almost a right angle shape between your legs if you can. And both shoulders are on the floor. So really anchor down in your right shoulder. Your right foot probably, well it might do, probably won't come to the floor, all the way to the floor. It might do, it might not. So again, this is a nice spine twist. And it really gets your IT band on the outside of this right leg. Stay here. Gently bring it back up. And we'll swap sides. So put your strap on your other foot, left foot probably, if you've done the right one first, maybe. Straighten out your right leg, hold onto the strap with your right hand. Both legs as straight as they will go. Take your left hands and left shoulders to the floor, and then gently guide your left foot down towards the right, taking your pelvis with you so you're coming onto your right hip. We're keeping as much of a right angle between your feet as you can. Left shoulder anchors down. And then just stay here for a few more seconds. Deep breaths. Relax your face. And then bring it back up. Well done. Okay, one more twist. So we did these last week. So have your feet about hip distance and then let both knees come towards the right.
Your knees are falling towards the right. And then let's take it a little bit further. So if you take your left leg and straighten it, and put your left foot on the floor. So a bit more, it's still a really gentle twist, just a bit more of a twist in your spine. So it's really similar to what we've just done. It feels like it's finishing the process because it feels like you can get your foot to the floor, and it's quite satisfying twist, I think, this one, because everything feels very grounded, everything's on the floor. It's a really nice gentle twist. Let's do the other side. So bend your left leg, put your left foot back on the floor. Even your spine out, even your hips out, and then let's take your knees down towards the left. It's the same as we did last week, but this time we're going to straighten your right leg out and put your right foot on the floor. So keeping both shoulders on the floor. The inside edge of your right foot's on the floor, everything is grounding into the floor, so it's a really supported twist in your spine. I find it helps to push down into your left knee, so if you push your left knee into the floor, rather than letting all the weight dump into your hip. That's quite helpful. And then bend your right leg. Bring both knees back, so point towards the ceiling, feet to the floor. Take the soles of your feet together and let your knees drop towards the floor. And then you are free to stay here for as long as you want. Well done. We've moved our spine in all different directions today, so hopefully that's made you feel really good.